Okay, guys, so a little sick. Probably going to be out for at least 10 days, but getting the hang of the pen tool in Illustrator is really important. It's like the number one tool. It's the most essential tool to get very good at, as it is Illustrator's primary tool for the vector process. The other important one is a blob tool, but that's really something you use if you have a Wacom tablet, Cintiq, something where you're drawing in a more traditional sense. But even then, you're going to be switching back and forth to the pen tool as well. The pen tool is what creates the paths um, in order to create the vectors. So you'll come here, checkpoint 2, and here's the first worksheet. Checkpoint 2, 3, and 4 are all about getting good with the pen tool, and they work in increasing complexity or difficulty. Number 4 being the hardest one. There's a lot of curves on that one. So you'll click here on the worksheet, and it's going to load up here in another window, and you're going to be vectoring each one of these shapes in Illustrator, filling the shapes with red or a color of your choice, and with a black stroke or a colored stroke of your choice as well. So you'd right click on it, click Save Image As, and then you're going to want to save to your desktop or your downloads. Downloads is probably the default where it's going to download. You just want to know where you're saving it, right? So that you can go grab it. So I saved it to my desktop, and the easiest way to get it into Illustrator, if you don't already have Illustrator open, so here's the exercise, right? Click on it, and then drag it over onto the icon, and then let go, and just drop it, and it's going to pop up here in a new document. Alternatively, if you have a new document already open, you could just grab it and then come over here and you see the little plus icon. You can just drop it into the document that way, or right, File, Open, and then find that worksheet on your desktop right there. Click Open. All right. So the first thing you want to do, right, is going to be to create a new layer and lock this layer. So it's here, it's on this layer, but we're going to be vectoring over on top of all of these shapes. So we want to lock this layer, and then we're going to create a new layer. We're going to do all of our vectoring on that new layer. So we get our pen tool, you can hit P on your keyboard, or it's going to be right here for the pen tool. The three tools we're going to be using, the pen tool has three tools with it. It's the pen tool, this direct selection tool, and then inside this pen tool there will be the anchor point tool that you will be using as well. And there's a shortcut to getting to that, which I'll tell you as we go through the process. So you can zoom in with the zoom, or if you hit Command plus, it'll zoom in like so, and then you can just hold down the space bar, right, to kind of move your artboard, your document into the position, and go back to your, and then when you let go of the space bar, it'll just go back to whatever tool you had. Okay, so before we start laying down our paths, over here we have fill and stroke. I recommend putting the fill for the time being on nothing, and then the stroke, double click on that. All right, you can choose black for that. You can choose the stroke size here, how big you want it. I'm going to go ahead and put it on 2. There we go, color palette came up over there. Now the reason I say you don't want to have a fill quite yet, I'll show you why. If I do a fill color here, as soon as I start laying down these shapes here, or these paths, Illustrator is going to just fill in automatically. So everywhere I click, it's just going to say, okay, fill in there. Click here, oh, okay, fill in all of that. And I can't really see anymore, what it is I'm trying to trace. So I'm going to go over here to the none for my fill color and just none it out. Make sure it's set to no color. This first one's easy, right? I'm just making straight lines. So you're just clicking, making those straight lines. You can hold Shift. Shift will make a perfectly straight line as well as 45-degree angled straight lines. So that first one's easy, right? Now I can click on it, I can move it around, I can change the size of it, always hold Shift, right, to constrain those proportions. And now I can double click on my fill and throw in a fill color right there. So this one's fairly easy too, same process here. It's where you get into the curves that it might start to get a little bit tricky, but that's where you got to get good with the pen tool. So whenever I'm going to none that out. So whenever you lay down, right, whenever I click, that little point there, that's an anchor point. All right, make another path. So here's the path, this black stroked line, and I made that path from one anchor point to the next anchor point. Now inside those anchor points are handles that will control the curve of this path. And I can get those out. When I first click on it, if I hold that click, you can see I can pull out those handles, and you can see it's manipulating the curvature of that path right there. And when I let go, there it is. So that's the easiest way, right? Just to click in and pull out those handles and to make those curves on the fly as you're going. So let's see that in action here. I'm going to click there. Now click here and I'll pull out those handles. I want to trace this just right. I'm going to come over here, pull it out. You kind of have to move your mouse around, move things around. So that's not going to work out quite right there. So I'm going to go ahead and Command Z, and I think I'll go ahead and lay a point there, and then I'll lay a point there, and then I'll lay a point here, and I'll just keep going. Click, drag out those handles until that curve meets the right line. Click, drag out the handles, and then right here, so this is a good example to show when I need to reset this handle right here. So this handle is controlling the curvature of the next path I'm wanting to lay down. And as you can tell, it's too much. If I click here, right, that's not what I want. I want to follow this part right here. So I can do kind of one of two things. One thing I can try to do is go to my direct selection tool, and I can move this handle in and go back to my pen tool. Click there, and let's see. Oh, it's restarting. So I have to click there on the end of my anchor point. So it just resets. So I'll show you here again. If I click, I'll drag one out here. If the next path is a little bit too much, I can hold the Alt button, and you see it changes to the little caret. That caret is the anchor point tool. And if I click then, holding Alt with the anchor point tool, it will suck in that handle, and it's going to reset the handle. So I have a whole new shape, line, path here I can make. So here again, right, that curve is just too much. I'm going to hold my Alt and then click right there on the anchor point, and it's going to suck in this handle and reset it. So I have a whole new path here, and I can keep going, and if I need to, I can reset the handle. If not, just click until it's finished. Now I'm going to purposely kind of mess this one up right here. A little bit too much. I'm going to reset my handle and then come back up there and finish it. So I finished my vector shape, but as you can tell, right, I kind of messed up. I didn't quite get this right. Now I don't want to just hit Command Z, right? Keep hitting Command Z and then have to redo that entire part of the vector shape, and I don't want to delete it and redo all of it. I just need to manipulate, right, this line right here. In that case, go to my direct selection tool. The selection tool itself will move the entire vector, all of the paths together. The direct selection tool, I can just click on certain parts of it, click on the anchor, click on that line there, and now I can just move certain parts of these lines. So I can click on that, I can click on the anchor point, drag it down, and start manipulating the handles. Maybe manipulate this handle. This handle right here is going to control this part of the curve, so I can kind of manipulate it and move until I get it to fit. So I can just click on the lines, I can click on anchors and move them, and I can, with the direct selection tool, manipulate the handlebars as well. Now, if you made a shape like so, And you now need to create curves, right? The direct selection tool can't get those, it can only manipulate it now, right? It can't get those handlebars out because right inside of these anchor points are the handlebars that will manipulate the curve. So how do I get those out if I want to get those out? This one looks like I had it out a little bit. In that case, I'm going to go to my anchor point tool and I can click on that anchor with it, hold the click, and I can drag out. Make sure you drag it out right so you're not twisting the line. And I can drag out now those handles in order to create the curves that I might need now. And go back to my anchor tool and manipulate, as I need to or see fit. Okay, and I can click on my shape, right? Double click on fill, put that red in there. Oh, that's white. Red, hit OK. All right, so now the Superman shape. Pretty simple. So Illustrator works in an arrangement order, right? So this shape here, I fill it with red. Actually, I don't want to fill it quite yet. Every shape I do now is going to be understood by Illustrator. Every new shape I begin is going to be understood by Illustrator to be on top, arrangement-wise, of the previous shape I made, which doesn't work like that in something like Photoshop. So if I finish this shape here, double click, let's fill it with blue, and I fill this color with a red, white again, red, there we go. So even though it's on the same layer, Illustrator has placed this shape here on top because it was the last shape that I made. So it works in an arrangement order. So if I ever needed to rearrange these shapes on the same layer because I didn't create another layer on top, right? If I made this shape on this layer, then it's above everything on this layer. But say I needed to rearrange the shapes on this layer, right? So this shape, I need to be in front of this shape. I could just click on either one, right? So in this case, I clicked on this one. I can go up to Object, Arrange, and then Send Backward, which now it is directly behind this shape, right? Or I can take the red shape and go send it back, and now this shape's back up. So if you're ever working and you need to arrange something that's all in the same layer, just remember kind of which was the last shape you did. Illustrator understands that to be on top, and then the previous shape is kind of next, and so on and so forth. All right, so that is the basics of how to vector with the pen tool.